You are listening to Small Business Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives small business owners the straight talk on productivity, time management, business systems, leading your teams, strategic decision-making, and mindset. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. Today is episode 400. Yes, we made it to 400. Today's episode, the real struggles, lessons, and growth behind the business of Amber De La Garza. If you are a small business owner who wants to learn effective business strategies, improve time management, and elevate productivity to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. Today marks an incredible milestone. We made it to our 400th episode. I honestly cannot believe we are here. When I started the podcast, I never planned or imagined what the end game was and if I was ever going to make it to 400. Like, that wasn't even a thought in my mind. My thought was just like, let's just get this thing going and see what happens. But here we are. And I'm going to say that today's episode is really special because instead of me giving you the straight talk this week, I am turning the tables, and my content manager, Crystal, is interviewing me about the real story behind the business, the struggles you may have heard about, probably have not heard of many of them that I'm going to share today, the growth, the things that I'm most proud of, what drives me, what I've learned over the last 15 years of being a business owner. And so I just have to ask, are you ready to go behind the scenes? Because in this episode, we covered a lot. You are going to hear about the moment that changed everything when I decided to not return from maternity leave, and I had, wait for it, no plan. I had no plan, and it turns out that no plan turned into the best plan. The early days of building my business while figuring it out as I went along, the pivots, the feedback, the things that worked, the things that didn't, major breakdown, crying, felt like the end of the world type situations I share. So definitely lots of failures, pivots, growth, ahas, mindset breakthroughs, you name it, we are covering it. And I'm going to be sharing with you why starting this podcast was one of the best business decisions I ever made. I'm going to be talking about how it changed me as a coach, a content creator, a woman, a person. I know that this has changed my life in so many ways because of the relationships, the opportunities it's created. So I'm not going to give it all away, but man, I can't think of many things in my life that have changed and impacted so many other aspects of my life more than actually choosing to podcast. And I am getting really vulnerable. I am sharing things I've never shared on the podcast. I'm talking about how I went out of my comfort zone, how I pushed against mindset beliefs, how having a limited mindset and how it actually impacted my business and the growth and how I moved through those things. So listen, if you've been listening for a while, this episode was for you. I did this, but I was actually pushed. I didn't just jump into this idea. I really was a little bit resistant. Crystal was like, it's a good idea. I think they really want to hear from you. And I think you do. I think about my own listening behavior, my own connections with people that I follow. And I am so curious about who they are and what I don't get to hear on a regular basis. So that's why we wanted to pull back the curtains and really go deep and share so many things that you may not have heard here. But here's the thing. If you are new and you happen to stumble upon this podcast and this is your first episode, no hard feelings, hit pause, go back, pick a title that feels really valuable and relevant to your business here and now. Listen to that, get a vibe for the podcast, what our regular formatting is. And then I think it will be even better once you listen to a few episodes to come back and really get to know me and hear the whole backstory to how I got to where I was at today. So wherever you're at on that journey, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I really pushed through. This is what this looks like. I pushed through my own discomfort. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And it ended up being such a good interview. I did have so much to share. But when I was strategizing this with Crystal, I literally looked at her. I'm like, there's nothing I'm going to share. Like, what am I going to share? There's nothing to share. I'm just a normal person. What is going to be valuable or relevant to them? And she did such a good job pulling out all these stories that she knew I had for you. And so, anyways, I can't wait for you to take a listen. So let's jump right in.
Today is a very special episode, our 400th episode. And instead of Amber giving you the straight talk this week, I'm turning the tables and interviewing her. We're going behind the scenes of Amber's business to learn about her personal journey, the struggles you don't usually hear about, and what she's learned over 400 episodes and 15 years of business ownership. Amber, 400 episodes. When you sit with that number, what comes up for you?
Well, first of all, I'm like, Crystal, we did it. You and I did 400
Yay!
episodes.
Indeed.
Oh my gosh, I am not ready for this. I am already teary-eyed. Why? You're just going to ask me questions about my journey and I'm already like, I'm going to be crying. I guarantee it. Oh my gosh, what a cry. 400 episodes. Well, I never imagined 400 episodes. I don't think I even thought about it. When I first started the podcast, I was just like, get started. Like, just get started and let's see what happens. And I will say it's one of those things where you just have to keep recommitting over and over again and check in and be like, okay, are we going to do it again? Are we going to do it again? And I feel like meaning you and I talk about it, like we do it at milestone episodes. We do it at the end of every year. We're like, are we going to continue? And I've said it once, I've probably said it 100 times, but choosing to do podcasting was the best decision for my business. I would put that as one of the top decisions that I made because I realized that it was a way for a lot of things. It was a way for me to show up consistently. It was a way for me to hone my skill, my craft, my expertise. When you are doing an episode every week of content and I really do have high standards for the content that I want to put out, it forces you to get better. It forces you to ask questions and, ask questions of yourself. Like, what do you think of a certain topic? What do you believe? What are you seeing? All of those things. And I know for a fact that has made me better coach, better able to lead my own company, and really confident in the work that I do because I'm doing it over and over again. And then secondly, when I sit with 400 episodes, I think of how many opportunities and people that I've gotten to meet that have absolutely changed my life. Conversations that have impacted my own life, not just for the listeners that are hearing those conversations. I mean, over and over again, I just think of friends that I've made, friends that I've gone on vacations with because of podcasting. I think of Luann Nigera, who became such a close friend, a client, and really changed the trajectory of my business off of one conversation podcasting. So yeah, I would have never known that was what was ahead when I decided to podcast 400 episodes ago.
I can imagine. And just saying, as someone from behind the scenes who works on the back end of these episodes, that even I am incredibly entertained and find so much value in every episode. Your conversations with guests, I always learn something new and have something to take back to my own life, which is really awesome. And I love working for you.
I love that. There was a recent intro that I did, and I said, okay, you guys are in for a good one because Crystal said this was a great interview.
Indeed.
I love hearing your
Mhm.
feedback of like, oh, wow, that was really, really good, like
Mhm.
conversation and stuff like that. And, when you say behind the scenes, I don't know that everybody knows how involved you are in the podcast. Like, you have listened to every single episode. You have helped written the emails. You help write every script. Man, we have pounded out countless hours upon hours of our lives writing content, strategizing what the topics are going to be. And you have been right by my side every single step of the way. Through this entire journey, not just the business. Well, I'm sorry, I want to say not just the podcast, but the entire business. You've been by my side the entire time. And so I like talking about you on the podcast. I know that people have heard your name, but they have no idea how much of a partnership this is to get this produced and out every week for sure. So thank you
Definitely.
so much. Yes.
Absolutely. All right, moving on. Let's go back to the beginning. What was happening in your life when you decided to start this business? Try and paint the picture for us.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I think it really seeded with the decision when I decided not to go back to my career when I left for maternity leave. So I had my son 15 years ago, almost 15 and a half years ago. He's getting his driver's permit like in 2 weeks. So 15 and a half years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I had this vision of, climbing the corporate ladder and, being a career mom and doing the thing. Like my career was really important to me. I always wanted to like grow and develop and what was the next challenge and very, very focused on that. And that was the plan. And it was the plan all the way to I left on maternity leave. Like I went, I had my son, and I had, added maternity leave plus all my vacations. So I had been gone for about probably 3 or 4 months at that time, and I was getting ready to go back. And I remember having a conversation with my husband, and I'm like I rumbled with it from the minute he was born, that whole 3 months. And I'm like, oh, this is just because he's brand new. This is just because it just happened. And it never went away. And my husband and I had the conversation. I'm like, I do not want to go back. Like, I see the world completely different. My whole worldview, my priorities, everything changed in that moment of having my son. And my husband and I had decided that we would do whatever it took to stay home for the first 2 years. And at that time, we got married in 2008, August of 2008. And my son was born May of 2010. So I felt like we were still newlyweds. We had just bought a house in 2009. Like we got married, we bought a house, and then shortly there, like it was like boom, boom, boom. Then I was pregnant, and then, you're pregnant for 9 months. So it was like just this like quick pace. My husband had just started a new career, and we were like, yep, I don't know how we're going to do it. And that is really uncomfortable. You know me, Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone that's listened to the podcast for a long time, like I'm a girl with a plan, and I didn't have a plan. The plan was we would figure it out because I felt this calling of like, that's not what I wanted to do while raising my son. So I went in and I asked for a meeting with my boss, which was the COO of the real estate company. And I said, look, I really honestly, I felt like it was I felt like I was a little bit of a betrayal because I was so committed to this company. Like the colors of the company were blue, and the joke was I bled blue. I was really, really committed, and I felt like, oh my gosh, they're gonna think this was the plan the whole time. Just take all your maternity, take your vacation, and then quit. And it wasn't that. So I asked for a face-to-face meeting, and I went in and I told him, what happened, and that I just didn't want to come back, and I wasn't going to come back. And I I remember, you got to imagine this. So he was like a bodybuilder, like this huge 6 foot plus guy, big old muscles, kind as can be. And he just paused. And I remember him leaning in over his desk and saying, good for you for choosing your family over business.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. They didn't take it as a betrayal. But he
Validation.
didn't. Yeah, exactly. And he barely took a breath And he goes, so do you want to stay on as a consultant? And I'm like, what? Like, at that time, I'll be honest, I didn't even know what that entailed. Like, I was just like, what? Like, what? Oh, tell me more. And at the time, they were doing acquisitions in other states. And, my superpower even back then was processes, systems, communicating with teams, and we were trying to make Vegas the hub for all of the different territories that they were acquiring to bring all of the real estate transaction processing essentially centralized. And it was my jam. And I was like, well, I don't know. You can tell me more about it. I don't think he even knew initially. It was just like a question. He's like, well, let's table it kind of. And I was like, well, I need to go talk to my husband. Like, I came in here to quit. So this changes all the plans, the plans, but no plans that we had. It changes everything. And essentially we continued the conversation, and it was the best thing ever. So I was getting paid more than I was getting paid when I was salaried employee. I only got to do the things I was really uniquely skilled at, qualified for, loved. I didn't have to deal with any of the corporate like politics BS. I remoted in from my house, and this was like a long time ago. Like, this wasn't like how there's tech now where everyone's virtual and everything. They actually kept my desk and computer, and if someone was in my office, they could see my mouse going across the screen. Like, there was like this certain program where it would mirror it on my laptop at home, but you actually had to have a real computer in the office to like access the apps and programs and stuff. And he said, work night times, nap times, fit it in when you can. And I did that. I started doing that. And I was like, whoa, like, this is what freedom looks like. Like, I get to like only do the things I'm uniquely qualified for. And my son wasn't 2 months old. He was 2 months old when that's all I needed to see. So in 8 weeks, I went from I'm quitting, I'm walking away from my career, 2 years, to I incorporated my LLC by the time he was 2 months old. And I did that because I thought I had this amazing name for the business and I didn't want anybody else to take it. But there was a lot of freedom. And so I started consulting with that company. And then once I saw, what was possible, I started consulting with other companies, and it was really loose. This was not a business by any means. Okay. And I decided I was going to actually start a business. But again, went back to my husband, had the conversations, and I said, but I still stand by what we thought when we had him and had the first conversation, was that I wasn't going to do it until he was 2 years old. So the business as we know it today, and our listeners know it actually launched on my son's second birthday. So I just did freelance consulting for 2 years, and I studied business and setting up a business and everything you could think of about time management and productivity behind the scenes, devouring information, and launched it on his second birthday. And the name that I had to have, because that's why I had to get an LLC, like, we've buried it. I've had a DBA for over a decade. It was a horrible name. It's still my LLC, but the original LLC is Organizational Elements. And it's so funny telling you, Crystal, because you're interviewing me, but you know all this. You've literally lived all this. So anyways, that was it. That was the beginning of the business. And then it was to get the first client. Like, and what did it look like, right? Like,
Yeah.
didn't look like it looks like today.
Nope, not at all. And the colors are certainly different. The logo is different. Everything's bigger and better. Yes.
Yes. Oh, Crystal. So we just did a new branding shift recently, right? You and I, and we were like celebrating. We're like, we are so grown up. Look, like, holy cow! Like, look at the evolution. And then I had you do new business cards recently, and we pulled out all my business cards over the years, and we're like, what? Well, I was saying, what was I thinking? Lime green. Oh my gosh.
Definitely some growth there.
Yeah, for sure. So should I get into a little bit about like what it actually looked like when I first started?
Absolutely.
Because it doesn't look like now.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I do have one comment first. So, like you said, I've heard your story before of leaving corporate America, but every time I hear a story, I usually find something new that I just learned. And what hit for me just now in your story was that I know you teach your clients and coach them through like it doesn't have to be black or white thinking. It's not either or. It can be and thinking. That's kind of what you went with because it wasn't just be a stay-at-home mom, which is amazing. I'm not knocking that at all, or just full-time business. Like you found a way to consult and then start your business and raise your family, be home and present. And I just applaud you for that. And I'm glad you can guide your clients through that as well now.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even ever connect that dot either, right? And the sweet spot for our family was that great point for sure.
All right. So, what was your original vision for the business? You just said organizational element. So, what did that look like? What did you think it would be? And then what did it turn out to be?
Yeah. So when I first started, just to get a little bit of background. So when I left my previous career, that wasn't the position that I had always had. So I was brokerage manager. But prior to that, I was a real estate business coach. So I coached our top sales executives on how to build teams and leverage systems to expand and to scale. And that was my most favorite job, favorite position in all of my career. But the 2008 real estate market hit, all of that, and the company no longer offered those services, and I had to pivot into something else. But that was the seed that was planted. And I remember, I was trained as a coach. Like I had no previous experience. I had a mentor that believed in me. And before that, I was actually responsible for training executive assistants. So you have these teams that are, real estate teams, they're business owners, often great at sales, horrible at administrative. And so they certainly shouldn't be the person teaching the processes, the systems, and the administrative. So I was a trainer for executives. Then I went into being a coach for sales executives around, again, like I said, team building. And it was because my mentor really believed in me, but it was I was like, oh my gosh, like, I think I just found the thing for me. Like, I remember feeling like I floated, like, I just loved it. Well, the challenge when I looked back at it, when I was in it, and I also looked back at that experience was we had what I believe to be an amazing program. We had models that worked. We had resources. We had templates. We had all of these resources that were like, do this, build your team like this, create these systems, these processes, like follow the plan, and you could be successful, right? And in reality, what happened was I kept hearing things like, you're literally giving them the answer, but they were so busy working in their business, they weren't making time to work on their business. They were so overwhelmed. They had lacked time management skills, personal productivity. They knew what they wanted, but couldn't create it because they felt like, many of them, it was like they were in business in chaos. They were winging it. And I think I can articulate that obviously much better now because of the work that I do, but I just couldn't connect the dots of like, why? Why did they not take the thing that we're offering them and go, make their business better? And so when I was off on maternity leave, I was reflecting on that. And I thought, you know what they need? They need organization. If they had more organization and time management, they could then take these resources and then do whatever they wanted. So that's how organizational elements happened. It was like organization, efficiency. Oh my gosh, and now I don't even remember the third one, but it was not productivity. Do you remember? I don't know. It was like 3 words underneath it, organizational elements, and it was 3 words. And so when I first started, I only worked in Vegas because that was my network. And my initial clients were real estate, people that knew me from the real estate industry. And I'd go in and I would actually sit in their offices and I would create organization. Like I would create systems, I would organize their office, I would train their team, I would help them with SOPs and checklists. And I'd be sitting in a little chair with my laptop on my lap, like pounding away, doing all the, checklist stuff. And I was in my element, but it was like, this isn't sustainable and this isn't actually the problem. I'm doing it for them. And then I leave and they're not leading their team and they're not holding them accountable and they're not showing up consistently doing it. And so it was just like this constant evolution of continually asking, well, what actually creates change? What actually creates sustainable change so that the business owner can experience something different? And then that's how I got into productivity and time management. Was if they can lead themselves and they can lead their team and they can lead in time, then any goal that they set for themselves, they can then accomplish. And I pivoted to that pretty early on, like the first, I would say 2 or 3 years. And then I started speaking. And I would speak everywhere, everywhere local. And then from local, it went national. Like I would do speaking engagements, all over the country at different associations and, luncheons. And then that's how I got my business out of what I would say my backyard, which was Vegas, and then started getting clients all over the country.
So you pivoted basically from organization and efficiency. I think systems might have been the third word. I could be wrong there, but to mainly productivity. And you also sounds like you pivoted from meeting everyone in person and spending that time and gas going all across Vegas to meet with them. And then you pivoted to being fully online. So how did that transformation happen?
Yeah. So I think it's worth saying, because this is a mindset issue, is that we don't have time for this story, but there was actually a whole story around getting a really bad taste about coaches when I was a coach. There was a partner and there was some fraud and there was like just some stuff going on where somebody wasn't who they said they were going to be. And I was young. I was like, I was like in my mid-20s and I took that away and I was like, coaches are frauds. Like coaches, like to me, if you're a coach, you walk the talk. You if you're going to give advice, you should follow the advice. And when I got kind of behind the scenes and there was somebody that I really looked up to and I realized that that wasn't true, like it didn't seem very ethical and in alignment, I kind of painted that picture of like, okay, hold on, actually, I do not want to be called a coach. And so when I first started, I was a consultant. I called myself an organizational consultant, actually. That was my first version because everybody needed organization and the company was called, in my mind, everybody needed organization and the company was called Organizational Elements. And then where the first pivot that actually took off, like a marketing pivot, was then I called myself efficiency consultant. Again, still railing against being called a coach. And I wasn't coaching at that time. I really was doing consulting and I would help. And when I switched to efficiency consultant, I did not change my service offerings, but just the pivot of efficiency being seen as a necessity in a business and organization seen as a luxury, that was a huge turning point in the business of like getting leads and clients coming in and referrals, because now it was seen as something like I need. And then the third pivot was the productivity specialist. And soon after that is when I leaned into actually calling myself a coach. And I had to do a lot of work on it. Like I did my own journey about, well, what actually defines a coach and what does a good coach actually, what is the value a good coach actually brings? And getting over what I perceived as a saturated market with everybody calling themselves a coach, but very few people actually delivering the goods, like delivering the service, the high value that an actual good coach could provide. And I remember just deciding, okay, I am going to be a coach and I'm going to stand out because I'm going to do it differently.
Great.
And that was the evolution of, and now I've been the productivity specialist, ever since.
Yeah, probably about 12 years now, I think.
Yeah.
Awesome. So looking back over the 15 years that you've been in business, what do you think were the key strategic decisions that led you to where you are today and the ones that really moved the needle, besides changing the actual name and becoming a coach officially?
Yeah, that was a huge one. Deciding that I was going to podcast was another one that we already mentioned.
What about growing? Adding me, adding Lacey,
Yeah,
adding some other people to your team.
other people that have come and gone.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I do think, I mean, I always say that for me and my own, like as a business owner, two things have always moved the needle: hiring a good coach and hiring a good team member, both.
Hmm.
As soon as those two things happen, it's leaps and bounds of the difference of like how much traction you make, your focus, your ability to, change how you show up in the business, whether it's through a team member that's taken a lot off your plate that you were doing, or doing things in the business that couldn't get done because you didn't have the capacity, or a coach that is inviting you to do things different, think about things differently. I know that I've seen the biggest growth in those two investments for sure. You know, hiring you, oh man, I wish I could remember vividly like the interview, but you were actually referred to me by one of my first clients. We actually knew somebody. You were working for one of my clients, and I remember thinking, I need to hire. And she's like, well, I can't give her more hours. Would you like to interview with her? And I remember at this time, I was not podcasting, we were blogging, because that's the thing you did to grow an online business or a business.
Yes.
And I remember asking you, do you like to write? And you're like, yes. And now I remember you saying like, now you are with, I don't know that anybody knows, but like you're a professional dancer. At this time, you had just come home from professionally dancing in Paris,
Paris.
right? And so you've been all over the world. You're a professional dancer, and you remember saying, "Well, I like to be creative. I'm very creative, and that can be an outlet, which is writing." And I'm like, done. Like I knew nothing about hiring. I knew nothing about interviewing. I stumbled into you by sheer luck and God. Like that, I literally say that all the time. Like I knew nothing back then about what I know now, and um, and I just knew I couldn't write. Like I can't write. Like I know I've gotten better over the years, so I won't say I can't write. But like I despised writing. I knew that we had to be blogging, and you were going to help me with that. And then since then, oh my gosh, you've helped in like all the ways in all the business, marketing strategy, podcast. Then gosh, we got rid of blogging, right, Crystal?
And yes. Oh, yes.
Now, I'm like teasing you, like maybe we should turn some of our episodes into blogs. Like I keep teasing it's going to come back. We never actually pulled the trigger because I'm a little traumatized over the blogging era. But you've literally, I always say we grew up together in the business. Like, and I talk to my friends and like, I say, oh my gosh, like we literally learned and grew and built the business together. Like we didn't know anything 15 years ago.
Yes. And going back to that day when I first interviewed, I mean, you didn't know me from Adam, but I think even though, yes, I said I want to write, but I maybe didn't have all the skill sets that this would grow into this position. But I think you hired me based on what you saw and had a good feel for in my character as well. And you coach your clients through that because you're going to have to work alongside. Like I started as your assistant, alongside your assistant, day in and day out. They're your wingman,
Yep.
right? It's got to be someone who shows up in the way you need them to and want them to. And that goes to character, not just skill sets, right?
Yes. I 100% was character. And I just shared this actual story with a client yesterday. She was having real challenges with a team member. And she said, I think I made a mistake by crossing the boundaries of like being friends. When we travel, we'll take to dinner and we have drinks and then it's super casual. But then like when we're working, like I really need to be like working. And now those lines have been blurred. And I explained to her, like, that is true. Like that can be a challenge. And I said, but how, and she was like really feeling the weight of that. And I said, but with the right person, that doesn't actually have to be a challenge. I'm like, I am so close with Crystal. We've traveled together. Our families like gone on a trips together. Like we talk personal, we talk business. And what I said was her ethics, her character, it's never a blurred line when we're actually like working. Like we catch up, we chit chat, we have the personal time, and then bam, it's like a switch, and then we go work. And I said, and that just is such a testament to your character. And so when you get the right person, it's not like inherently bad thing to have this personal relationship with them. It's if you can't actually know when that line or that switch needs to be flipped or where that line's at.
Right. Knowing when to put your work hat on versus when your friend hat works.
Yes, for sure.
Great. So you teach people how to run successful businesses, Amber. But let's talk about your own personal struggles. Excuse me. What were some of your darkest moments or biggest fears in building this business?
um, Fears. It's so interesting because when you have fears, they feel all consuming in the moment. And now that you're asking me, I can't even name one off the top of my
Good.
head in the moment. And it's not that I haven't had them. Like I consistently have fears as you level up, as you try new things, as you change something and you're like, "Oh my gosh, is this going to be the thing that breaks it all?" Like, even once you're quote unquote successful and doing well, then there's fear in leveling up or changing something because you're like, "What if I break what's working?" There's so many things of fear. Fear that early on it was fear of like, man, like my husband really believes I can do this. Like, I don't know if I can do this, but why is he so sure?
Hmm.
What if I fail? Like, what if I compromise the family? Like, even taking it back, I don't even think I finished that whole story. It was like, so he was starting a new career, and we were actually just sharing this with we were telling this story last weekend because his dad was in town. Is that like, so during that 2 years that I was committed to staying home, but wasn't, then was consulting, then thinking of starting a business, my husband got laid off. Like that was it. And we were like, what are we going to do? We have a kid, a mortgage. I quit my job. And he's like, we're all in. So my husband actually left Vegas in 2012 when I started my business so that I could start my business, and was gone for 5 years while I built my business. He'd come home. We would travel weekends. And he was like, I don't know, like 15 different states in 5 years because of the type of work he did. My son got to travel a ton in those 5 years. But I was a single mom and I was building this business, and my husband did that and sacrificed because he had so much faith. It was never once a conversation of like, I think you should go get a paycheck. I'm going to stay
He believed
here.
in you. Yeah,
I
he believed in
know.
you. He's
And
such a good man.
He is such a good man. And when someone believes in you that much, that's really scary. It feels like a lot of pressure. Yeah. Even though that's not what he intended.
Sure.
And during those 5 years, my goal was to replace my income and his income so that he could come home. And at the end, like 5 years, I remember visiting him. We were in his fifth wheel, Oceanside, California. And I remember saying, I'm done. Like, I can't do this. Like, I literally, like my heart was not at home. Like, I love my husband. And we knew that we were sacrificing for our future, but it was so damn hard. And I just said, I need you to come home. He literally packed up his entire life there and followed me home 3 hours later and quit on the phone to his job.
Wow.
And I said, I think I'm there. Like, I think I can replace your income. Meaning I could, but I didn't know if I could sustain it. Like the thinking was like,
today I can.
Yeah, today I can. So just come home. And that's what I did. Or that's what we did. And I was like, this is it. And it was interesting because when I couldn't afford to have him come home, and replace that income, there was never a question like, okay, I can't do this, come home. It was like head down, we are building for our future. But then as soon as the business could afford it, and I was like, I think, am I seeing that? Like maybe possible. As soon as it was possible, I felt like I broke after 5 years. Like, nope, I don't want to do this anymore. I want you home. Like, this is it. And he followed me home and we figured it out. And he's been home ever since. And we have figured it out since. Now, obviously he works. Like he did get a job. The economy came back. Like he has his own career. But that was not known when he came home. And we did not know how long before he would get a job back in Vegas. And So lots of fear around that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I would say that my other fear too, since we're talking about my husband, is that I really had to do work around the fear of making more money than him.
Mm-hmm.
The potential, I wasn't, but even the potential of making more money, because I wouldn't say that we were traditional. My husband never implied that that would be an issue. But when you're young and married, like, it wasn't something we actually talked about. Like, being a business owner was never in my future. Like, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have lemonade stands when I was a kid. Like, I didn't know business owners. Like, it wasn't even a thing. And it wasn't until the business was taking off where I'm like, oh shit, like, will this change the dynamic of our
Yeah.
marriage? And we would talk about it, and he'd be like, absolutely not. And I'm like, he's
Mm-hmm.
lying. Now, my husband has never, I truly believe my husband has never lied to me, but your
Uh-huh.
brain lies to you, and your brain
Yes.
says, there's no way. Like, what if I test this and break my marriage? What if I push this boundary? He says he's okay, but what if he doesn't know if he's going to be okay? Oh my gosh, it was terrible. Big fears. And we finally just had a really deep conversation where I started it with saying, I actually don't think you think this. Here's what I'm thinking. And I just pulled it all back. I'm like, here's my fears. Here's what I am so scared that if I take off my business, that if it changes the dynamic of my marriage, I don't want any part of this. And it hasn't. It didn't. I worked through that, and it was so much the opposite. Like, he always jokes. He's like, I'm okay with having a sugar mama. And like, he's like serious about it, but he also jokes about it. And he's like, seriously, like, I have no challenge. Like, you go do whatever it is that you want to do and create and be, and we're good. And, men are simple. He literally was just like, we're good. We're going to be good. And that's all
Trust
I
it.
could get
Yeah.
out of him. So yes, Crystal, big fears. And that fear
Mm-hmm.
showed up in my business plateauing. There was several years that I hit the
Mm-hmm.
same revenue amount, and I couldn't break through it. And that revenue amount mirrored very similar to the number that I thought, if I break through this, like, it's going to change everything, was my thoughts. But anyways, I don't know where we were going with that. Lots of fears. But when you asked initially, I can't think of one, but there's been just so many over the years. They evolve, and you work through them, and you push through them.
Yep.
They feel all consuming, and then they're not. And
Yep.
then they're not.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Mhm.
sounds scary, but you're never going to learn if it's really that scary. It's like that teddy bear in the closet that you talk about.
Yes,
You're scared of this
exactly.
big bag monster in the closet, and you're fearful of opening that closet and it popping out and getting you. But when you do open those doors, sometimes it's just a little soft teddy bear there.
Yeah, and you just tell the story so big and so often that teddy bear gets bigger and scarier and,
Oh, yeah.
crazier to where you don't want to open the door. But on
Mm-hmm.
the other side of it is, I think, peace when you're in alignment with, what it is you want to create and do and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. All right, Amber. So building a business requires sacrifice, obviously. What do you feel building this business has costed you personally along the way? Maybe with your
Uh,
relationships.
yeah. I think I think that I know what we're going to say here. That's interesting is I I lost friends when I started my business. I lost a lot of friends. And I lost friends because I felt like I would have to say, like, I shedded them, meaning like
Mm,
I just was like growing
mhm,
personally. I was very goal driven. I was very ambitious. I was very focused. Like, I went from, you know, young and, had been with my husband, but like we didn't have kids, we didn't have a house. And so like it was like, you're always out doing something or you're going, whatever, the bars, I'm dancing and just girls' night, wine night, you name it. I was there. I was very, very social. And so the first evolution was like, you have your first baby, and maybe not everybody in your friend group has kids yet.
mhm, mhm,
And then 2 years later, I have the second baby, which is my business. And I'm like incredibly focused, where it's like, if it's not family or my business or like meaningful, deep connections with friends, I didn't want it. And so what happened is I shed a lot of relationships where they were just like maybe a little more superficial. They were my fun friends. That's what I call it, like my fun friends. They were great for the time. But what I kept were my core friends that I was like really had deep connection with, because that's what mattered. And so it wasn't a sacrifice to me. It was actually a blessing that, I was able to, my business was able to show me and help prioritize what really mattered. And then, that's what happened. A sacrifice. I mean, when back to that 5 years, when I was building my business early, I would wake up at 3 a.m. and I would work on my business and build my business, wake my son up at 7, and then either start my day with him or then take him to preschool. And then and on the days he went to preschool, I would go meet with clients all day. But I couldn't meet with clients and work in the business and also work on the business. So I didn't have help at home. My husband was away working. And so I literally built my business from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m., 5 days a week.
Not really normal hours.
No, not at all. Grinding it out, head down. I remember being really, I didn't feel like I was grinding. Like I felt like I was inspired. I had a plan. I had a goal. I knew this is just for a period of time for it to better our family and our future. But it was a sacrifice. Like I'm asleep by 8:39. I always fell asleep with him in my arms countless times because he's a toddler and had more energy than mom because I was waking up at 3 a.m. But if you put that in the bucket of sacrifice, I would say that was a sacrifice, but it was worth it.
In the earlier days, too, I recall you having to sacrifice quite a few weekends when you were speaking a lot. One story I laugh about is when you went to visit Joe, wherever he was working at the time, and you were working on a presentation that we were doing just a couple days later, and you were just back and forth, just practicing your presentation out loud, and all the campers around you be like, who is this crazy lady who just keeps talking to herself?
Yes, it was over a Christmas holiday time. I remember it being around Christmas. And so I went for an extended period of time. I was preparing for a keynote or like a presentation. And we were in California. So all the snowbirds go to California and they want their RV to be on the beach, right? And so my husband's like 2 blocks from the beach. And there's all these elderly snowbirds. And they would sit on their porch. And, I'm walking with a toddler. So I'd like put him in his thing and I'd walk him, or he'd be on his tricycle or his bike and, trying to entertain him. And then there's this mom with her like sheets of paper pacing back and forth and around the little like park. Yeah, that's funny. I did forget about that. And I swear that they knew my presentation better than me at the end of the day.
They figured out what you were doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. All right. Well, you talk about mindset with your clients all the time. And what do you think your biggest personal mindset shifts were for yourself that actually changed your business?
Well, one, again, I already just said, was getting over that limiting belief that success would change my marriage dynamic. I already said the other one, which is like this whole block around being a coach, right? Like whatever crap I had in my head about what a coach was or wasn't, how it was perceived in the marketplace was another.
I'm going to butt in here because I know a big one.
Oh, please do. I'm like, help a girl out.
What you're worth. That was a big mindset dilemma we had to overcome, right? Like what you can charge. Like you're not a $50 an hour coach.
So good. Man, I still remember the first day. This is when I was going to someone's office to help them organize, like physically organize their office. It was like your first client. And I remember wanting to throw up. Like I opened my door in the car to get fresh air because I was like, oh my gosh. And I was salaried when I was corporate, but like I knew how much I was making an hour pretty much. And I thought, there's no way I'm any more valuable than what I was being paid, from the company that I was working for. And even consulting. So let's just say whatever I negotiated for consulting, they got me at a really damn good price. No wonder they wanted to keep me on as a consultant. And I just needed 100%. It was about my worth, but 2, it was about seeing the world, because it's a major shift to see your value in hours versus your value and worth based on the value you provide, and charging based on value and not charging based on hourly. And that shift obviously changed everything, my whole, business model, pricing, how I charge, how I deliver the services, what I focus on to always give incredible value. And value is not, you got X hours with me. Value is you bring it, you get major shifts in your business, in your own mindset. Now that's what that looks like, that are really often priceless, or I would say you can't really put a dollar amount on it because they stack. And so what do you charge? You don't charge hourly. And that was a big shift.
Thanks. All right. So over these past 400 episodes and 15 years that you've been in business, now knowing what you know, what would you go back and tell yourself on day one?
Do not worry. It's all going to work out. If I had that knowing, I would have saved myself a lot of damn stress, because you think in those moments, like, this is not going to work, or it's not sustainable, or I'm going to try this thing. Like, my gosh, it's going to work. Like, just to tell yourself, like, just keep going. It all works out. And I have that knowing now. Like, and I joke with you. I'm like, we're going to change it. If it breaks it, we'll go back. Like, that casual now. And I'm just like, that knowing and that confidence of like, look, like, honestly, we've been doing this for so long. It's going to take a lot to break something so badly. So I don't stress about a lot of the decisions anymore that I did before.
You've given that example about a lot of the decisions you make in your business are like a revolving door. Right. And sometimes people don't see that. They see it as life-changing if it goes wrong. But then again, it's like a revolving door. You go in, you try it, you check it out. If it's not great in this new place, okay, go back out the revolving door and do something different.
I had a coach. That was my coach that taught me that.
And then taught me that.
And then taught you that. And I say that. And I say that like those are the changes. Like, literally, you just summed it up. Because what my coach saw in me, Crystal, was that I took things very seriously. Everything was weighted so heavily. I was stressed by moving through decisions or risk or perceived risk. I am a bit risk adverse. I'm far less now. Like, I know I've changed a lot. And my coach had to give me that example to say, like, you're weighing every decision like it's life changing. And to me at the time it was. And that shift was incredibly powerful. Do you remember, actually, I'm going to share a story. It has nothing to do with your question, but maybe a little bit. Do you remember going on a speaking engagement with me at like a steakhouse?
I do. Yes, I do. And sitting in your car afterwards.
Yeah. So that's the part of the story I'm going to share. So I gave this presentation. And again, like, I used to do a lot of speaking locally, like luncheons at steakhouses, networking events, you name it. And for whatever reason, I thought I bombed it. And I remember being humiliated in front of you because you had come and saw me. I remember thinking I really embarrassed myself. I was bawling in the car. And then I think it was a little bit later, we got like reviews back. Like, they had done these like little card and reviews, and they loved it. They were like, it's great. It was so valuable. And then I was like, I still couldn't hear it. I'm like, they don't know what they're talking about. That was absolutely horrible. And it wasn't even in sync. Like, I was just so hard on myself. And I remember you trying your best. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, she's seeing her boss literally a puddled mess in the car, crying and bawling. And she's like, then afterwards, I'm like, oh my gosh, she probably thinks, do I have a job still? This lady just totally broke down after speaking in the car. And I had done this, like, in my head, horrible job. And then the feedback came, and it wasn't. Like, I even think I got a lead or two out of it. And so, like, it's just, I used to be so, like, I'm pretty hard on myself a bit sometimes now, but nowhere, I mean, maybe hard. I would say really differently than I used to be. So what I wish I knew then was, like, do not be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I was really hard.
We are our own worst critic, for sure.
100%.
But now I can see it that you do give yourself more grace. And I think that comes along with wisdom of having run a business for so long.
Yeah. Actually, there's another part. I didn't know if we'd have anything to talk about on this interview. Remember when we had this idea? I'm like, there's nothing that anybody wants to hear or know. Okay, so remember that story about me pacing at the in the trailer park and that we were just talking about?
Mhm.
So that presentation I just remembered was actually, I got invited to speak at my local NSA chapter, which is National Speakers Association. And what that means is, like, these are professional speakers. This is what they do. And who's in the audience? They're commanding 5-figure presentations, keynotes, you name it. And I was still so new, but they saw potential in me. And they're like, you're ready. You're going to present at your chapter meeting. And I thought it was such an honor. And I had people that I looked up to that mentored me in the speaking industry. I had several people really take me under their wing that had 20 years of experience in speaking. And I'm like, well, if they think I'm ready, I'm ready. And I went and presented, and I actually did bomb. There was no I thought I did, I didn't. I had over prepared so much that when I got up there, I sounded like a robot. I was trying to do all the quote unquote speaking rules because this is the things they teach you. And I'm speaking in front of a bunch of professionals. And because if I would skip a word or skip over a sentence, I thought, oh my gosh, I just broke it. And then I was fumbling over my words. And it was a disaster. It was a professional disaster. It was a hit on my confidence. It was everything that could have gone wrong. And it was because, get this, I over prepared. And then the feedback was that I looked like I hadn't even prepared at all, and how disrespectful it was to come to the chapter and be given the grace of the stage and not prepare. That is actually what was written down by somebody that was doing the evaluating, was that I did not respect the audience enough to properly prepare. Now, what I knew was I had prepared so much and had the stress. And you know what I did after that? I didn't stop speaking.
Good.
I didn't stop speaking.
Yeah.
And I threw away all those damn rules they had about speaking. Because the reason I started speaking was I loved what I was talking about. I loved people. I get so much energy. I get connection on the stage, and trying to follow the rules and do a script and write it correctly and have the opening and the intro and all this crap literally created so many barriers between the audience and who I really was. They didn't get to see me. And so what I took away from that was, that is all bullshit. I will take the pieces that work for me. I'm obviously more refined. There's some, rules that I take. And I threw the rest away and gave myself permission to just go back to the girl that actually got lit up about speaking.
Yeah.
And
I remember that. I remember spending hours meticulously fine-tuning every single word, especially the transitions. We'd rewrite them 5 times, and you'd have to memorize the entire 45-minute presentation. And then it was all for nothing, because you do so much better just going off bullet points, because you can talk, because you are so knowledgeable, because you do have all this experience. And that has worked for you on your podcast, and it now works in your presentations and speaking gigs. And that just was a big learning.
Totally learning.
Yeah.
We don't not prepare, right, Crystal? I have a presentation at High Point, Power Talk Fridays with Luann. Today's Wednesday. It's Friday. And you and I spent hours last week writing this content, and it's a 15-minute presentation. No, 20-minute presentation. And the writing is my process. I haven't looked at it once since we wrote it last Wednesday. It's been a week, and I'll look at it on the plane. But even as we were meticulously writing, again, the same thing, freaking 10 years later, we're doing the same thing. The transitions, the points, everything is this script is on fire. But this time when we were writing it, I'm like, come on, let's just move on. I'm not even going to say those words. Fine, it's good. I literally, Crystal, you and I both know I'm not going to say that. But what happens is, it lets me get that content in me in the creation process, and then I have to step away from it. And that is not what's stressing me. I'm like, hey, I actually need to get packed. That's what I'm thinking about. But my previous me would have been obsessing about this script because I want to do such a good job. And now I know that's just not that's not what works for me.
Yep. Now you're capitalizing on your strength, which is just
Yeah.
speaking from what you know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I really got us off track. Sorry, Crystal.
No, you're great. All right. So, how has your definition of success evolved over the years? Like, what does it mean to you now beyond just the revenue numbers that you were trying to hit?
100%. So today I don't give myself raises just financially. I give myself raises by cutting the number of hours I work. Success for me is living out my own version of what work-life balance looks like, honoring what I feel like my body needs, like for health, what my family needs, the season we're in. So success really means how can I still run a business that brings me so much joy, that I absolutely love, provides for our family in a way that is significant and allows us a lifestyle, while also being able to take the time off from the business that I need to pursue other things that, I want to, or that bring me joy. That's my success today. What my husband and I are working on today is, that the business, both his income, my income, our income, not just provides for our family now and today, but that we're making investments so that he can actually retire in 2 years. Our son graduates in 2.5 years. And he'll go to his second career, and whatever he wants to do, maybe it's a career, maybe it's not, maybe he starts a business. I don't know. He doesn't know, but really just having that space and time and freedom to explore that. And then success looks like that I can move my business. So when my son graduates, we plan on the plan right now and open for change is that we're moving to Tennessee, and we'll live there first to get, a lay of the land, but we intend to build a house and I'll run my business from there, and he will do whatever his next chapter is from there. And then my son can come with us, or he can go to college and come back with grandbabies. Like, I'm already thinking of grandbabies. Like, it's so
Wow.
crazy. Like, okay, fine, 10, 15 years. But like, I can see clearly into the future of like, we're not just building now. Like, my husband and I really talk about what are the next 10, 20, 30 plus years look like, and what do we have to do today to make that a reality.
hmm That's awesome. So you've kind of touched upon what your deeper mission is behind all this, and it sounds like it's family, right?
Oh yeah, it always
Everything
has
is for
been.
them.
Yeah. It really has. I have two parallel missions, honestly. So one,
Mhm,
like the mission of the business is to create opportunity and, provide for the family in a
mhm,
way that aligns with our personal family goals. But my other mission, honestly, like I think about this, I'm like, so what if I like won the lottery or got crypto rich tomorrow? Like, whatever, like you hit some sort of like windfall of money. And these are the types of things my husband and I talk about. He's like, what if this, what if that? And I'm like, I really had to sit with this. And my answer is that I would still want to coach, because
mm,
my business generally doesn't feel heavy anymore. And that means that I really get to do the thing I love. And at this point, I feel like it's my superpower. It's the thing that gives me
mhm,
energy. I connect. Like, my mission is to help business owners enjoy being a business owner more,
mhm,
bringing back joy. And that's not just for a monetary exchange. I get so much, I get so much out of those interactions
mhm.
and providing those services, that truly is my mission too, is to continue providing my unique skill set to the world in however which way I can.
People always say, like, writing a book like it's your baby, right? I
Hmm.
mean, whether or not you have kids, your book is your baby because so much of your heart and life experience goes into writing that book. And I feel like your clients, in a way, this is just one of my crazy analogies, are like all your babies because you see them like grow up as business owners and just accomplish so much more and be successful in their own way. And I think that's really cool.
I think you know that, right? Because I like
Mhm.
share with you how impactful it is. And,
Mhm.
I think you can tell even on the client case studies that we do, like I just have
Mhm.
so much pride, and like you said, everyone's journey is so different. Like I it's hard to articulate, but coaching, you think business coaching is just like run the numbers, metrics, this, that, like maybe that's corporate
Part of it.
coaching.
Mhm.
I don't know. And maybe, yeah, it's definitely part of it, but it's such an intimate relationship. And what
Mhm.
I mean by that is it's a partnership. It's you're inviting me into your vision, your goals, what it is you want to accomplish. It can be super vulnerable. Like we're digging deep into your challenges, your own mindset issues. And it's not like how I'm talking about what's happened in the past and I can laugh and joke about it. This is really serious. And so, yeah, I would say there's lots of joy. I'm prideful. I'm really proud of them for doing hard things.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so for sure.
Great. Now, how have your personal values and life experiences shaped the way you run your business and serve your clients?
Mm. So when you take like personality tests or your strength finders and stuff like
Mhm.
that, something that comes up is that I have really two things really that keep coming up no matter what test I take is that I see the best in people. Like I can really pull out the best. I can inspire people to do whatever is the best for them. And the other is that I have high standards. Now, high standards in my home with my boys that are like, really, we have to hang the clothes that way, we have to fold the towels that way, like that's
Mhm.
annoying. But in business, having high standards is in elevating and asking people to just do their best, and it's not in a judgmental way at all. And so I do
Mhm.
know that like there's certain traits in my personality that really align with getting results for my clients and just
Mhm.
how it organically shows up.
Mhm.
I think you can speak to this, so I'm going to say it and then you can tell me how you see this come up and how many conversations we've had about this. Is I have really high ethical standards, confidentiality, saying things that are only true, not over promising in marketing when it's so tempting
Mhm.
to do that because like that's what you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
Even to this day, I argue with AI and I'm like, that's not true. I'm not saying it. And they're like, well, that's a really good hook. I'm like, I don't care. That's not what's actually in the episode, or that's not
Right.
actually what we're selling here, or whatever. Like when we've created, you and I, when we've
Mhm.
strategized in the business, how many times have I said, is that true? Like, does that sit right?
Yeah.
And for me, I think that my value of high ethics runs in every decision that has been made in the business and how I interact with everybody and including my clients.
Mhm. I can name many times where you've had to dial me back because I'll be like, "This is life-changing," in the verbiage, and you're like, "It's a 30-minute freebie, Crystal. It's not that life-changing." Like, it's gonna
Yes.
it's gonna help them, like, they're gonna get one thing better in their routine or whatnot, but let's not go with life-changing. Yeah.
Right, which is hard because then you're literally competing with somebody else that's giving away a webinar, a free thing, of this or
That's
that,
gonna be
and I'm
life-changing.
like, yeah, and it's
Right,
life
right.
changing, and I'm like, but it's not. And by the
Right,
way, if
right,
that free
right.
thing is life changing, what this is my methodology. I'm like, what else is there to work with me? If that, I mean, I'm pretty sure if something should be life changing,
Mhm.
it should be the work we do together, not some
Mhm.
free thing. But that's what they say sells. I'm like, I don't care. I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah,
Like,
we
we're
need the
not making
hooks.
those promises.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and the other way that absolutes come up is like speaking in absolutes with marketing promises, like stuff like
Mhm.
that is like, and you're like, well, you might say something like, well, you told me that it happened for X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, yes,
Mhm.
that's for those people, but it's not for all people. And we are not going to say that this strategy works for everybody. And I'm not challenging you. I'm like, like going back and we're reading stuff. I'm like, no. We got to soften that. We got to open it up because I don't want people to think if that one strategy doesn't work for them, then, and it worked for other people, what's wrong
Mhm.
with me? Like even the ethicals of that, of like,
Mhm.
I want everything to be empowering and I want it to be honest.
Mhm. And I'll say that we don't have to do high pressure marketing and sales and all that because a lot of your business comes from word of mouth because people have used you. They've been your client for a long time and they recommend you. They refer people to you because just like we talked about in the beginning of the episode, you're not fraudulent. You deliver on your promises as a coach. You help them work through the issues you say you're going to and the challenges they overcome and whatnot in their business. So that's all part of ethics as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when you're in an online space and you're early building your business, there's a lot of pressure to do what everyone else is doing or fit in. And
Hmm.
I definitely felt pressured, but I felt more of, well, then that wasn't meant for me. Like, I don't want
Hmm.
that kind of business. I just want
Hmm.
the business that feels true and honest.
Yeah, great. All right, Amber, last question for you. I,
What? We made it to the last
we made
question?
it. Yes, great work. All right. So, as you look ahead, what are you most excited about? And I ask that both personally and for the business.
Oh my goodness. I messed that up. I said it earlier. I am, and I'm not going to say grandchildren. That might seem weird. My son's
Yeah,
15. But I am
beyond the
thinking of,
Tennessee. Yeah.
okay, so like all jokes aside,
Hmm.
like my son doesn't even have a girlfriend, right? Obviously, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Um,
It's coming.
but when I think grandchildren, here's what that really means to me.
Hmm.
Whenever that is, which is probably going to be a while, I want to be energetic. I want to be healthy. I want to have time because we're
Hmm.
not financially strapped. I want to have a home that's the gathering place. I want to be able to create memories and experiences. Like that is it. And maybe it's not grandchildren. Maybe he never has a child. What
Hmm.
then it's my nieces and it's my
Hmm.
nephews and it's their
Hmm.
family. And like whatever that looks like, I'm not like just like every other story I've shared here. I am a girl with a plan, but I also am so clear that my plan never happens exactly as planned. In fact, it often happens better, right? Like I couldn't have ever imagined my business and like my normal day today is. I'm literally in slippers and pajama pants right now as we're doing this interview. I couldn't have ever imagined my normal day being ever a day in my life when I started my business. I just couldn't fathom it. Like
Hmm.
our lifestyle, the clients I get to work with, the type of business I have, all virtual, remote, like how much has changed technology wise, how much of an impact you can make from a bedroom in your house. And so I do like a plan, but I know it can be so much better. And so, like, grandchildren is just like a little placeholder for like, I just want to create a life that's like full of memories and I want to be my best whenever that next chapter happens and everything in between. But like that's a good milestone. I think I
Thank,
sound crazy right now.
not at
I
all.
hope I hope that anyone else that's listening also is thinking about their next chapter. And it might be just because I get like, a grumpy teenager almost every other day right now. So I'm thinking there's gotta be this next chapter.
Better, kinder, doesn't talk so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Go like I can't wish him to be young again. I want him to be exactly where he's at. He's turning into a great young
Hmm.
man.
Yes, he is.
And like I just keep reminiscing of like how great it was to see the world through a child's eyes and
Yep.
like the wonder and the excitement and the joy. And so yeah, that is something I see for my future, Crystal.
Well, I think you've laid the foundation for all of that to be possible. And a lot of that has come from you pushing through the hard times, you not
Mm.
seeing a failure only as a small setback and continuing to move forward and overcome your own challenges, whether it's mindset or something else. And you've really grown a beautiful business that it is a privilege to be a part of. Amber, I thank you for your vulnerability and your transparency today. And I think your listeners probably really enjoyed this journey as well and getting a better behind the scenes look at you and your business. So thank you so much.
I thank you so much for doing this. And look, if y'all are listening, I almost went kicking and screaming on this idea because I'm like, what is the value that we're going to bring to them? What is the business lesson that we're going to bring? Right? Those are my high
Sure.
standards. And
Yeah.
like, I think, and Crystal was like, Amber, many of them have been listening for quite a while. They want to know you. And I'm like, yes, I tell them about me in episodes sometimes and I weave it in, but like a whole episode about me, that doesn't sound great. And she's like, okay. So here we are. We did it.
Oh.
And then my brain goes, because y'all want to know what really goes on in my brain. That's just one decision. And then I'm like, well, what if somebody stumbles upon this podcast and it's the first time they're listening? It's going to publish when I'm at High Point and I meet new people all the time. And I'm
Mhm.
telling them about the podcast and they're going to hit play and think I'm a lunatic talking about grandkids when my kid's only 15. Like, like those are all the things I can think of I'm just like you, meaning the listener. Like I am just a person to you. And I've learned a lot of things and my brain loves business. And I still have my own stuff that I work through. I just have all the tools. I just got to pick the tools up. And this tool, okay, this is going to be their business lesson. I can't not end with
Here it comes.
Crystal.
Yes.
Here it comes. Are you ready for it? So the tool that I picked up this time was that I had given permission to Crystal to slap this talk down a long time ago. So like, like my high standards when we're like going over and over, like sales copy, emails, like I'm reviewing them or like whatever. And she'll say, I gave her permission to say, it's good enough. It's good. Let's go. Let's move on.
Yep.
And I know that's AKA for like, what the hell are we doing here? Like, let's move on. Like, whatever the real inside language is, but you always just gently say, okay, it's good. And also our relationship when we knew nothing and I first interviewed you and now how much we've grown together is that you are a strategic partner in my business. So like this was something that felt uncomfortable to me. It felt vulnerable. It felt what is the actual value? Is this in alignment with our, standards in the podcast? And I had to lean on you and be like, well, I don't think Crystal would lead me the wrong way. I'm obviously feeling shaken here. She's saying it's good. We're doing this. And thank you, Crystal, because I think it might be good. So
I think so too.
I think so too. And those are tools of like when you know where your landmines are or your weaknesses, do you have someone on your team that you can trust that's like, okay, I got this one. Like you're getting in your head, move out of the way, we're going forward.
Awesome.
So thank you for being that person, Crystal, and always being that person for me.
It's been a wonderful ride, Amber. Thank you.
All right, I am back. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode and going behind the scenes. Thank you so much for letting me celebrate this 400th episode of the podcast with you. I would love to hear, what did you think of this? Should I wait another 100 episodes before doing a behind the scenes? Should we have Crystal turn the tables more frequently to get a bit more behind the scenes on, decisions that I make in the business? Gosh, I feel like maybe that might be a great format now. And see, this is this is literally what I talked to you about on this podcast. I was hesitant. It was out of my comfort zone. I had my own resistance. And now I'm doing the outro saying, hey, let me know if you want to hear more of this type of content. Me sharing behind the scenes of how I move through my business and make decisions and navigate challenges. I don't know. Maybe that would be a great episode. I feel like I thread that in to many, many of my solo episodes, but I would love to hear what you thought of today's episode. And I would not be here without you, the listener. I have to say, yes, this is like a partnership. I show up, I create the content. Crystal shows up, she helps me create the content. We are here doing our thing, but you are there listening and you are sharing this podcast with you business owners who you think will find it valuable. You are leaving reviews. You are hitting me up on social media and letting me know the impact this podcast has. What I don't think you know is that I'm literally sitting in my office with a mic by myself most of the time podcasting. And if I don't hear from you and I don't get feedback and I don't see that the episodes are being shared or I don't connect with you on social media, I am literally talking to myself. And I know that not to be true. So I just have to say thank you so much for being here for me and supporting the podcast over all of these years. And if you have not yet done one of those things and you're like, hey, how can I celebrate you, Amber? This is a huge milestone. That is all I would ask of you. If you haven't left a review and you found this podcast to be valuable, please do so. If you thought, oh my gosh, an episode has helped you in any way or your business grow, think about the impact you could be having on another business owner by sharing this resource with them. And I just want to leave this and close it out to say thank you. I have so much gratitude for you. And that is my straight talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.